What if I told you that some of the best R&B songs ever recorded were overlooked for decades? These overlooked bands, which ranged from the soulful sounds of the 1960s to the smooth grooves of the 1990s, created songs that shaped the genre but never received the recognition they were due. Here are 20 obscure R&B bands you need to hear, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Number 1. The Apollos. The Oakland, California-based female vocal trio known as the Apollos was mostly active in the middle of the 1960s. Despite their brief period of fame and little commercial success, collectors, soul enthusiasts, and Northern soul fans cherish their work. The members of the group produced close, sincere harmonies that embodied the essence of the girl group sound of the day, but they also had a distinct, unpolished edge. They recorded under Loma Records, a brief Warner Brothers Records, devoted to soul and R&B artists that lasted only a few years and was intended to compete with Motown and Atlantic, which helps to explain why acts like the Apollos are still unknown. Billy Barnum, Leola Giles, and Ella Jamerson were a trio that reflected influences from gospel, Motown, and the emerging West Coast soul scene by combining rich harmonies with forceful lead vocals. The Apollos' music combines the gritty, deeply felt emotion, typical of the West Coast soul culture, with the Motown-style refinement. Their vocal arrangements feature strong lead presences and tight, complex harmonies that are frequently performed with intense passion. Mr. Creator is the Apollos' most well-known single and their best song. It has vigorous voices, a snappy, aggressive chorus, and a driving beat. It's an anthem of emotional honesty and self-empowerment, with the same sense of urgency that made it a Northern soul hit. The Apollos are a hidden gem in the R&B and soul scene of the 1960s, particularly for female group lovers and rare soul collectors. Their music was not well known while they were active, but the Northern soul renaissance has brought them back into the spotlight, particularly in the UK, where DJs were looking for uncommon and danceable American soul songs. The Apollos are a must-listen for anyone interested in the origins of female vocal harmony groups, offering a blend of sweet, strong, and soulful sounds. Listening to them offers a window into the West Coast soul scene, which is frequently overshadowed by Motown, Detroit, and Stax, Memphis. Many of their songs have been digitized and made accessible on websites like YouTube and Spotify, sometimes via reissue collections or fan uploads. One of the best ways to hear their distinctive sound is to search for the Apollos' Mr. Creator. Number 2. The Whatnots. The Whatnots were a Baltimore, Maryland-based vocal trio that was mostly active in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Their deep, groove-driven music, socially concerned lyrics, and silky vocal harmonies are what make them most famous. They gained recognition in the soul and funk cultures, particularly among lovers of deep soul and Northern soul scenes, while never becoming major commercial performers. They signed with Gamble Records, a label associated with the renowned Philadelphia producers Leon Huff and Kenny Gamble, who were instrumental in creating the Philly soul sound. The Whatnots' music is distinctive and soulful because it combines this polished Philly sound with more unpolished funk and doo-wop elements. The Whatnots' style combines funky rhythms, emotionally charged vocal harmonies, and Philly soul smoothness. Their songs frequently have warm background harmonies, strong lead vocals, solid bass rhythms, and lavish orchestrations. Their lyrics, which were in line with the conscious soul movement, tackled societal themes and common struggles. Gospel, doo-wop, and the emerging funk genres of the 1970s are all evident in their work. Message from a Black Man. During the civil rights period, this strong, socially conscious song stands out as an appeal for pride and awareness. The rendition by the Whatnots is beautiful and heartfelt. The work of following R&B and funk performers was impacted and mirrored by their sound. Their records are cherished by soul enthusiasts and frequently sampled by hip-hop musicians, despite their lack of widespread public success. Their work gains depth and historical relevance from their socially minded lyrics. The Whatnots are the ideal representation of Baltimore's vibrant soul culture, which is sometimes overlooked in comparison to cities like Detroit, Memphis, or Philadelphia. Number 3. The Precisions. The Precisions were a soul and R&B vocal group headquartered in Detroit that was mostly active in the middle to late 1960s. Their refined harmonies and appealing compositions helped them carve out a unique place in the thriving Detroit soul scene, even though they were never able to achieve the enormous fame of Motown's biggest performers. Today, they are most known for their contributions to the Northern Soul style, particularly for songs that became UK dance floor staples. Their lively, dynamic approach perfectly captured the lively, lyrical soul sound that marked Detroit's musical output during the 1960s. The Precisions blended a more candid, upbeat approach, evocative of early soul and doo-wop artists with Motown's refined production characteristics. They are known for their catchy tunes, strong vocal harmonies, and lively tempos. Their music had an elegant yet danceable feel since they frequently used opulent arrangements, such as horns and strings, in their recordings. Dance floors were kept lively by their music, which was ideal for the Northern Soul movement, which valued rare, energetic soul albums. If This Is Love, I'd Rather Be Lonely is their most recognizable and long-lasting hit. The song is a Northern Soul classic because of its catchy melody, impassioned vocals, and tempting, lively pace. Their tracks demonstrate the richness and diversity of the city's music culture and are excellent representations of the Detroit soul sound outside of the Motown heavyweights. The intensity behind many Northern Soul dance floor classics and the origins of soul music's dance culture may be understood by listening to the Precisions. They embody the fervor, harmony, and spirit of 60 soul groups that made substantial contributions to the development of the genre but weren't always well known. Their songs may be found on several 60s soul anthologies and Northern Soul collections. You may listen to their popular songs on YouTube and Spotify. Number 4. The Masqueraders. The Masqueraders began in the early 1960s in Dallas, Texas. Initially called the Stairs, Charlie Moore and Robert Tex Reitzel founded the organization. The group acquired the moniker The Masqueraders in 1963 following a number of lineup changes, which included the inclusion of Lee Wesley Jones, Harold Thomas, and David Cowboy Sanders. This name change was a reflection of their trademark ability to imitate the styles of other groups. Charles Holman, James Jameson, Tommy Turner, Joe Herndon make up the group, and they all had a great chemistry. Gospel and doo-wop traditions are the foundation of the Masqueraders' renownedly smooth vocal harmonies. They combine lively soul songs with beautiful, rich ballads. They served as a link between the vocal group styles of the early 1960s and the more contemporary, refined sounds of Motown and Philly soul. The group's songs frequently dealt with themes of social consciousness, love, and grief. Their vocal compositions are sincere but sophisticated, with warm background harmonies counterbalancing a powerful lead vocal presence. One of their most well-known songs is Hold On to My Love, a heartfelt ballad with sensual orchestration and passionate vocals. Given the durability of their skill, they continued to stay active for decades, with certain members continuing to work on other musical projects. Fans of vintage R&B balladry and Northern Soul fans have come to love the group's albums. A listen to the Masqueraders offers a glimpse into the rich history of Southern Soul vocal harmony groups that have made significant contributions to the fabric of the genre. One of the members, Joe Herndon, went on to join the renowned group The Temptations, carrying on the Masqueraders' soulful tradition in one of Motown's most recognizable acts. Let's dive more into the vaults at the overlooked bands. Number 5. The Artistics. Beginning in the late 1950s, the Chicago-based R&B vocal group The Artistics found their niche in the mid to late 1960s. They represented the rich heritage of Chicago soul, which is smoother than Southern soul, more expressive than Motown, and sometimes criminally ignored. They were well known for their beautiful vocal harmonies and heartfelt songs. They were highly regarded in soul circles, especially among Northern soul enthusiasts and collectors of vintage 1960s soul, despite never achieving significant mainstream popularity. The Artistics had several lineup changes. Aaron Floyd, Jesse Bolian, Larry Johnson, and Curtis McNair, cousin of soul singer Barbara McNair, were among the most prominent members of the band. Major Lance, a well-known Chicago soul performer, found them and helped them get their first break in 1963 by backing up his popular song Monkey Time. The Artistics excelled on mid-tempo soul music and mellow, emotionally impactful ballads, particularly when they joined with Brunswick Records in the middle of the 1960s. Their songs had elaborate orchestral arrangements. Mid-tempo soul tunes and silky, emotionally impactful ballads were the Artistics' specialty. After they joined with Brunswick Records in the middle of the 1960s, their music was characterized by elaborate orchestral arrangements. Consider a more romantic cousin of the Impressions or early Chi-Lites, since their style was characterized by tight harmonies, soulful leads, and exquisite instrumental accompaniment. Love, longing, heartbreak, and occasionally reflection were the main topics of their lyrics, which were always honest. Their greatest song, I'm Gonna Miss You, is a soul classic, a music that is hauntingly lovely, including a melody that aches with sorrow and a soaring falsetto. Chicago soul at its best. Number 6, the Night Lighters. The Night Lighters were founded in Louisville in 1963 by Harvey Fuqua and Tony Churchill. The band changed its name to New Birth when it grew to 17 members, including 2 vocal groups and an instrumental ensemble. However, various combinations of the united groups continued to record under both identities until 1973, when the Night Leaders moniker was formally abandoned. The founding members of the band included Churchill, Austin Lander, James Baker, Robert Jackson, Leroy Taylor, and Robin Russell. Later recruits included James Hall, Roger Voice, and Ben Boxtel. The Night Lighters used a combination of tight funk rhythms, jazz-influenced instrumentation, and show-stopping grooves under the direction of famed producer, arranger, and visionary Harvey Fuqua, a former member of the Moongos and a pivotal player in Motown. Their greatest hit is Cagey, a smooth, horn-heavy funk groove that gained recognition after appearing on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, as recorded by MFSB. Their hallmark song is tight, flexible, and incredibly danceable. Despite not being well known in the general public, the Night Lighters had a huge influence on crate diggers, rare groove DJs, and instrumental funk fans. As a funk anthem, their song Cagey was widely sampled, covered, and used in movies. Their sound was a precursor to the instrumental soul jazz funk fusion of groups such as War, Funk, Inc., and Mandrill. Hip-hop musicians and beatmakers now regularly sample their work because of its horn breaks and unpolished, rhythmic feel. Number 7, Creative Source. In the early to mid-1970s, the soul-funk vocal ensemble Creative Source was established in Los Angeles. They were founded and created by Michael Stokes in 1972, and they were run by Ron Townsend of the Fifth Dimension. They included Steve Flanagan, Don Wyatt, Celeste Rose, Barbara Berryman, and Barbara Lewis in their lineup. Barbara Lewis had performed on the Lumtone recordings of the Los Angeles Elgins. Don Wyatt had previously sung in Nat King Cole's backing group and worked with groups such as the Fortunes and the Colts in the late 1950s. They were different from many all-male or all-female groups because of their male-female dynamic, which allowed them to be flexible in their harmonies and arrangements. The song, You Can't Hide Love, was their first single and peaked at number 48 on the Billboard Hot R&B Singles chart. Who Is He and What Is He to You? Their best success, a version of a Bill Withers song, peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Hot R&B Singles list. You're Too Good to Be True, another noteworthy song that demonstrated their singing ability, Migration. On the Billboard Top Soul LPs list, their second album peaked at number 28. Consider The Source. Their last album didn't do well on the charts either. Creative Source had trouble keeping up their pace after their initial triumph. The group split in 1977 after losing their recording contract. Nonetheless, soul music fans have enjoyed their music, and their songs are still praised for their distinctive fusion of funk and soul. Number 8. The Soul Children. During the peak of the Memphis soul explosion in 1968, Isaac Hayes and David Porter, the renowned Stax Records partnership, established the Soul Children, a soul quartet based in Memphis. Although they weren't clones, they were made in order to replace the vacuum left at Stax following Sam and Dave's departure. They created a sound that was rough, intense, deeply steeped in gospel, and intensely emotional instead. They produced several R&B hits in the late 1960s and early 1970s and offered raw, genuine soul, even if they did not reach the commercial heights of their contemporaries like the Staple Singers or the Bar-Kays. Former member of the Del Rios, Norman West Jr., John Colbert, often known as Jay Blackfoot, is the group's distinctive main vocalist. The female voices of Shelbra Bennett and Anita Lewis. They were able to perform both full vocal ensemble arrangements and male-female duets because of their special arrangement, which consisted of 2 male and 2 female vocalists. They had a strong groove-heavy foundation thanks to the support of Stax's renowned house band, Booker T and the MGs, followed by the Bar-Kays. Many of the songs were brutally honest and intensely emotional, addressing love, heartbreak, betrayal, survival, and real-life challenges. Their biggest song, I'll Be the Other Woman, is a forerunner to a calm storm. A beautiful performance, performed from the mistress's point of view, about betrayal, grief, and vulnerability. Sentimental, intricate, and timeless. One of the few bands to genuinely continue the tradition of gritty Memphis soul into the 1970s was the Soul Children. Hip-hop has sampled their music, and soul purists have hailed it for its emotional impact and genuineness. In the 1980s, Jay Blackfoot had a prosperous solo career, best known for the Southern soul classic Taxi. Later groups like En Vogue, Tony, and others that adopted a multi-vocalist format with soul origins were made possible by their fusion of gospel harmonies, real-life lyrics, and male-female dynamics. The Soul Children serve as a bridge between gospel harmony groups, soul duos, and funkier vocal collectives, making them more than simply a hidden gem. Number 9. Aura. In the late 1970s, the funk boogie ensemble Aura was founded as a spin-off of the funk powerhouse Slave. The ensemble was founded by Steve Washington, a producer and a key member for Slave, and included new vocalists, including the amazing Starlana Young, in addition to some of Slave's members. Aura became one of the most important yet underrated commercial forerunners of the boogie funk style that ruled black clubs in the early 1980s. Steve Washington, a producer, keyboardist, and bassist who was formerly with Slave, Starlana Young, a powerful and lyrical lead vocalist, and Kurt Jones, a guitarist and vocalist, were the main members. Young and Washington provided the creative core, while others came in and out. Compared to Slave, Aura's sound was less rough and more influenced by electronic funk and the boogie genre. Their music was perfect for roller rinks, midnight radio, and neon-lit dance floors since it frequently incorporated love themes, funk guitar, rich synth pads, and tight, danceable bass lines. Modern hip-hop, house, and R&B producers and DJs have borrowed Aura's sound despite their lack of popularity. A buried funk legend, their rare CD Satisfaction was saved and eventually made available in 2012. Due to internal conflict and legal issues around the name Aura, Curtis Jones and Starlana Young founded Deja in 1987. They were successful with the R&B single You and Me Tonight under their new identity. Number 10. Surface. The silky ballads and love themes of Surface, an American R&B trio, helped them gain considerable popularity in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The band was renowned for their soothing tone, which set them apart from their peers' more lively sounds. Bernard Jackson, bass guitar and lead vocals. David Pick Conley, vocals, bass guitar, and keyboards. David Townsend, vocals, guitar, and keyboards. With their contributions to songwriting and production, these three served as the core of Surface. Additionally, they were renowned for their skill with instruments, which distinguished them from many modern R&B performers. They released their first album, which had singles like Happy and Lately. According to the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Singles Chart, Happy peaked at number 2. On the Billboard 200, the album peaked at number 55, and on the Billboard R&B Albums Chart, number 11. Among the many hit songs from this album was Shower Me With Your Love, which peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the R&B charts. After selling over 1 million copies, the album became platinum. Despite not being extensively sampled in funk or hip-hop, they had a significant impact on the softer, more sentimental path of R&B. Surface's recording career ended with the tragic death of David Townsend in 2005, but their influence can still be heard in soul collections and slow jam playlists. Number 11. Clear. Clear was an R&B funk band from New York City that was founded in 1978. They were once known as the Jam Band, a rock group before switching to funk. They changed their name to Clear and signed with Atlantic Records after years of performing as session musicians, and even as a disco outfit named the Universal Robot Band. Their style was a fusion of early synth-driven electro sounds, deep funk grooves, and sophisticated R&B, putting them in the same family as Cameo, Slave, and Zapp, but with a slick urban edge. Lead singer, drummer, and co-producer Woody Cunningham. He was renowned for his energetic performances and had a key role in forming the band's sound. Bassist, keyboardist, and singer Norman Durham. He made a substantial contribution to the band's production and songwriting. Paul Crutchfield is a keyboardist and percussionist. His efforts gave the rhythmic foundation of the band more depth. Richard Lee plays the guitar. The band's music was characterized by his guitar playing. Perhaps their best-known song is Tonight. Many hip-hop musicians borrow this song's classic rhythm, smooth vocals, and slick synth bass. Artists of all genres are still influenced by Clear's music. Hip-hop musicians, including Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, and Tupac, have sampled their songs. The band's groundbreaking combination of electronic and funk components has had a long-lasting effect on the music industry. Next up is another crucial yet often overlooked group in the lineage of R&B, soul, and family-based harmony acts. Number 12. The Stairsteps, aka Five Stairsteps. The Chicago-based soul family group known as the Five Stairsteps was mostly active in the 1960s and early 1970s. Before the Jackson 5 assumed that title, they were frequently referred to as the First Family of Soul, and were renowned for their exquisite but sophisticated soul style, tight harmonies, and polished appearance. Their music served as a link between the sophisticated, harmony-rich soul that emerged in the 1970s and the doo-wop-tinged soul of the early 1960s. Even though they only have one big song to their credit, their back catalog is jam-packed with gems. OOH Child, which was released in 1970, became the Five Stairsteps' biggest success. Stan Vincent wrote the song, which peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 14 on the R&B chart. It has become a classic due to its inspirational message and heartfelt delivery, ranking number 402 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. It led to the success of family acts such as DeBarge, the Jackson 5, and the Silvers. Their early connections to Curtis Mayfield and their vocal arrangements placed them at the center of Chicago's soul renaissance. Gladys Knight, George Harrison, Sly Stone, and others were among the artists Kenny Burke played bass for throughout her solo career. A funk soul classic, his solo song "Risin' to the Top" has been sampled by Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool J, Mary J. Blige, and other artists. Number 13. The Controllers. Early in the 1970s, a soul/R&B vocal group called the Controllers was founded in Birmingham, Alabama. Their music later transformed into the quiet storm and contemporary soul domain of the 1980s, combining love balladry, lavish orchestration, and Southern gospel influence. The Controllers gained a devoted fan base thanks to their well-executed production, sensitive themes, and tight vocal arrangements, while not being as commercially apparent as contemporaries like Heatwave or The Whispers. 4 childhood friends, Reginald MacArthur, Larry MacArthur, Leonard Brown, and Ricky Lewis, formed the group. And their harmonies have a tightness and synergy that is similar to those of other harmony-heavy Southern bands like the Manhattans or Blue Magic. The Controllers developed a loyal fan base among slow jam and Southern soul enthusiasts despite never becoming huge hitmakers. Particularly in radio stations in the South of the United States, their most popular songs have become slow jam and Quiet Storm mainstays. Frederick Knight, of I've Been Lonely for So Long fame, served as their mentor and contributed to the creation of their early work. Their sultry delivery and gospel-based harmonies impacted harmony groups like Solo, After 7, and Levert. R&B DJs and collectors frequently mentioned them as hidden gems. Number 14. Ozone. In the late 1970s, the Nashville, Tennessee-based funk/R&B group Ozone was founded. They weren't a Motown sound group like Smokey Robinson or The Temptations, but they were signed to Motown, but not in the conventional sense. Rather, they contributed to Motown's modernization efforts in the disco, funk, and electro period. They performed as session musicians for Motown artists such as Sarita, Billy Preston, and Tina Marie. From 1980 to 1983, they also put out 6 criminally overlooked albums under their own name. The Funk Trio. The Endeavors broke up in 1977, and 3 of its members, Benny Wallace, Jimmy Stewart, and Charles Glenn, formed Ozone. Later, they were joined by Paul Hines on drums, Greg Hargrove on guitar, Ray Woodward on saxophone, William White on saxophone, and Thomas Bumpass on trumpet. Greg Hargrove was replaced on guitar by Herman Brown in 1981. The Commodores had a big effect on Ozone's sound, which was a mix of love ballads and fast-paced dance hits. They were a well-known outfit in the post-disco soul era, thanks to their tight horn arrangements, lively beats, and silky vocals. Ozone also provided backup vocals and horn arrangements for Tina Marie's albums Lady T and Irons in the Fire. They also worked with Bobby Nunn on his album Private Party in 1983 and his song She's Just a Groupie in 1982. In 2018, Ozone got back together with Charles Glenn and a new band that included Dela Vance, Patricia Thomas, Rodney Thomas, Ewan Williams, Derek Organ, and Rodney Trotter. Their hit, Gonna Miss My Love, was evocative of 1980s funk jams with its deep banging bass sounds and Parliament funkadelic atmosphere. Interestingly, these are the undiscovered treasures that you must listen to if you believe you are an expert in R&B. Number 15. Intro. The Brooklyn, New York-based R&B group Intro was founded in the early 1990s. Kenny G. Love Green was the group's leader and main composer, in addition to being its discoverer and producer. They were called Intro, which is short for Introduction, and they were there to introduce a new sound. Their sound combined romantic lyrical themes, new jack swing rhythms, and soulful vocal harmonies, putting them on par with groups like Silk, High Five, and Jodeci, but with a more emotional, softer edge. Intro hits from their debut album included Love Thang, Let Me Be the One, and Come Inside, which was their biggest smash. The RIAA certified the album as Gold. New Life. The follow-up album featured a more mature sound and featured a rendition of Stevie Wonder's Ribbon in the Sky. Will Smith, 702, Mary J. Blige, and others were among the authors and collaborators of Kenny Green. Come Inside was included in several slow jam collections and became a Silent Storm standard. Intro established a distinct niche with their dedication to talent and passion, although not achieving the same level of financial success as Jodeci or Boyz II Men. R&B circles continued to mourn Green's premature death in 2001, which was caused by complications from AIDS. His passing ended what may have been a lengthy and developing career. Number 16, Portrait. Portrait was a four-person R&B vocal group that was founded in the early 1990s in Los Angeles, California. When they first appeared on the scene in 1992, their style was radio-friendly, yet musically rich, combining hip-hop production, silky rhythms, grown-up lyrics, and boy band harmonies. Portrait's music was defined by a fusion of hip-hop beats with modern R&B, a style known as New Jack Swing. Fans of both contemporary R&B and traditional soul will like their music's catchy melodies and mellow harmonies. The breakthrough track Here We Go Again from the group's debut album reached number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 3 on the R&B chart. Additionally, Honey Dip from the album peaked at number 18 on the R&B charts. The songs I Can Call You and a rendition of How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees were featured on their second album. The album did not reach the same degree of popularity as their first, despite some success. Despite their lack of long-term economic success, Portrait is recognized for their impact on R&B in the 1990s and their contributions to the new Jack Swing period. Fans of the genre are still enjoying their songs. Number 17, Low Key. The Minneapolis, Minnesota-based R&B and funk group Low Key was mostly active from the late 1980s to the mid-1990s. After signing with East West Records, they gained recognition for their mellow fusion of soulful ballads, funk, and New Jack Swing. Together with The Time, Prince, and Mint Condition, they contribute to the Minneapolis legacy of funk and R&B by fusing danceable grooves, catchy hooks, and slick production. They signed with Perspective Records after being found by Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam of Flight Time Productions. The breakthrough track I Got a Thing for Ya from their 1992 debut album Where Day At peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot R&B Singles chart and number 27 on the Hot 100. Low Key further cemented their position in the R&B industry with the release of numerous subsequent songs, such as Hey There Pretty Lady and Sweet on You, after their first triumph. However, the group broke up in 1995 following the publication of their second album, Back to the House. Following the split, members worked on a variety of musical projects, such as producing and creating songs for musicians like The Sounds of Blackness and Alexander O'Neal. In response to public demand and a mutual love for their art, Low Key reconciled with the founding members in 2018 and started creating new songs. They declared their intention to visit the United Kingdom and released tunes like We Grown, number 18, For Real. The Los Angeles-based four-member female R&B group For Real was mostly active from 1993 to the late 1990s. Wendy Williams, Brenda Cherry, Zahida Allen, and Nesia Bray were among the members. Their modern R&B production, gospel-infused vocals, and tight harmonies caused a stir. Their music was highly regarded by critics and admired by other musicians, even if they never quite achieved the economic success of some of their contemporaries. It's a Natural Thing, produced by Brian McKnight and others, their debut album was praised by critics and earned a rare 4-star rating from Rolling Stone. You Don't Want to Miss, the album's smash song, reached its highest position on the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs list at number 28. For the Marvin Gaye tribute album Inner City Blues, the music of Marvin Gaye, the trio also recorded a duet with Stevie Wonder. Rowdy Records published their second album, which featured the hits Like I Do and The Saddest Song I Ever Heard. When Like I Do peaked at number 72 on the Billboard Hot 100, it became their highest charting song. Their song Love Will Be Waiting at Home from the Waiting to Exhale album earned them an American Music Award in 1997. For the first time in more than 20 years, the four founding members performed together at a special unplugged gig in Los Angeles in July 2018. Number 19, The Tony Rich Project. Antonio Tony Jeffries is an American R&B singer-songwriter and producer who rose to fame in the mid-1990s under the alias The Tony Rich Project. Rich was born in 1971 in Detroit, Michigan, and started his career in music as a staff writer at LaFace Records, writing songs for singers such as TLC, Boyz II Men, and Toni Braxton. Later on, he switched to a solo career, which he called the Tony Rich Project. Rich received a Grammy nomination for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance for his debut album's breakthrough track, Nobody Knows, which reached at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album was the 1997 Grammy winner for Best R&B Album. The song Silly Man was featured on his second album, Birdseye, which also included contributions from Eric Clapton. The album had more jazz and acoustic elements, which was a change from his earlier work. Rich kept putting out music, experimenting with different genres and themes with albums like Exist and Resurrected. In 2022, he returned to his musical origins with the release of Tastes Like Stereo. Number 20. The Sharpies. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, the R&B vocal group The Sharpies was founded in St. Louis, Missouri. They are frequently regarded as one of the final outstanding bands to come out of the thriving R&B scene in St. Louis before funk and soul took control. In a crowded field of early 60s vocal groups, the group's raw, gritty vocal style, which blended doo-wop harmonies with early soul roughness, made them stand out. In the Midwest, the Sharpies are frequently regarded with bridging the gap between doo-wop and contemporary soul. Despite not becoming nationally famous, they had a significant impact on local artists and were a part of the St. Louis music scene in the 1960s. Collectors of classic R&B and Northern soul now highly value such music. The raw energy and emotion that defined the transitional time in R&B history are captured in their sound. To uncover more intriguing stories among Hollywood celebrities, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.